everyone, and welcome to Global Exhibitions Day. Well, happy Global Exhibition Day, we should say, to everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. It's finally here. We've been working towards it. And interestingly enough, we're normally all so busy at this point in time that we try to get involved and we try to participate in some way. But I think for the first time, we have more participation than ever this Global Exhibition Day. So it just shows you how crisis can unite a community, an industry, and an organization. So I think it's really, really wonderful to have you all join us. It's going to be a wonderful discussion. For those of you that joined us yesterday, we had a wonderful discussion and we learned some great stuff, and we found all the things that we have in common. And it was wonderful to meet all the people in this industry that we don't normally get to see because they're so busy doing and they're so busy working. And today we have with us 4 people, not 3. We have the thorn amongst the roses, as you can see, Warren Murray from Exposure Marketing. We have our rose, obviously, Charlene Heffer from Specialized Exhibitions. And then we have Megan Oberholzer from World Travel Market with Reed Exhibitions. And then we have Lynn Shamier from DMG. So thank you all for joining us today. Now, before I go into further introductions to all of them, I just want to give you a few house rules. We'll be having discussions with everybody. For those of you that are watching, please feel free to communicate with us. There is the chat function there. You can communicate with each other. You can give us suggestions. You can ask questions to our panelists as well. But we're going to be here for the next hour. We're going to be talking about all the things that happens behind the scenes. I learn a few tips and tricks from our panelists today, and we also want to hear from you, so don't forget that. So Charlene, I'm going to start with you. We're just going to do a round of introductions, guys. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, because we know of you, but we don't know about you. So tell us some interesting things about you in the office, and maybe something a little bit personal as well, if you can share.
Okay, dokes. Well, thank you very much, Progeny. Firstly, happy Global Exhibitions Day to everybody, and thank you, Progeny, for this opportunity. It's great to be here along with the rest of the panelists. Well, firstly, I'm a portfolio director for Specialized Exhibitions. We're a division of the Montgomery Group, and I look after the mining and industrial portfolio for them. Shows that I look after include the likes of Electromining, Machine Tools Africa, the local manufacturing show, as well as our shows up in Africa, Caminex, Electromining Botswana, and Waitex, the newly launched one in Ghana. And on a personal note, I think that I've become a professional homeschool teacher in the last couple of months. I can now officially add that to my CV.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Thank you. That's for sure. I think a lot of people are going to be adding that little bit to their CV as well. We are all multitaskers, but that's what we are in this industry, right? We know how to multitask. We can get our hands dirty. We can do whatever. We make anything possible. Megan, how about you?
Thanks for having me, and happy Global Exhibitions Day to everybody. So I work for Reed Exhibitions, and I'm the portfolio director for the travel and tourism portfolio. And my shows include WTM Africa and Isle Team Africa, and then naturally we've got all of the little brands that fall under it. So an Equal Africa, and IBTM Africa, the Sports and Events Tourism Exchange, the African Tourism Investment Summit. So some really exciting brands in there. Yeah, so I think something personal about myself would be much like Charlene. I don't have a child, but I have a new colleague who is a very four-legged friend, and I'm pretty sure that he thinks I've quit my job to spend time with him. So it will be a rude awakening when I go back to the office.
Yes, I've been loving all these pictures of people sharing with their pets at their home desk, right? I've seen cats on computers and dogs. You can hear dogs barking in the background. It's been really, really fun times. Thank you, Megan, and welcome. Lynn, who's been around in the industry for many years. I don't think you need an introduction, but tell us what you're up to currently.
Hi, everybody. Yes, thanks. I'll still, for those that don't know me, I'm the event director at DMG. I run the food, hospitality, and trade division. So for my sins, I ran the Africa's Big 7 show, the Hotel and Hospitality show, Cytex, and then also I run the West African Mining Show in Ghana, WAMPEC. So I've got 4 shows in my portfolio currently. I'm telling you my age now, but I've been doing exhibitions for 35 years, so I'm the veteran of the group in today's conversation, but I love what I do. Exhibitions are in my blood, and I'm here to stay. On a personal note about dogs, I'm a huge dog lover as well, and I just recently adopted a 3rd dog from a shelter, and he's been the highlight for me of the whole of COVID-19. So yes, so that's what I do, and I've been with DMG the last couple of years. I'm very happy there. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Lynn. You see, these furry friends are keeping us going this time. I just wonder what is going to happen when we all go back to work. I saw this wonderful video about trying to explain to your furry friend that unfortunately I'm going back to work now, mom's going back, and I have to leave you behind and you will be home alone. And lastly, we have Warren Murray from Exposure Marketing. Warren, a brief introduction to yourself.
Hi, everybody. And yeah, great day to host this on Global Exhibition Day. So I think it's a great privilege for all of us. I run and put together the Mama Magic Baby Expos, which fall under the Exposure Marketing brand. We do those nationally around the country, the consumer exhibition that everybody's so familiar with, which also include our purple friend and dinosaur Barney. I think, you know, you're talking about going back to work, and when you get back to the office, what's it going to be like? I think besides my dogs, I think my children are going to worry where I'm going to. I went to upstairs to quickly grab a jacket, and they were like, "Are you going to the office now?" So I think there's going to be a lot of separation anxiety when we all get back onto the roads, and we have to sit in traffic and not enjoy sometimes the pleasures of working from home.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Warren definitely has a purple dinosaur as his best friend. We all know about that. Now, guys, for those of you that have just joined us, guys, if you want to know, I'm going to tell you now, look, you're giving away my age again, but we're up to 60 participants now that have just joined us. So if you've just joined us, we want to say happy Global Exhibitions Day. Thank you for supporting us and participating and joining us on this panel today and sharing in the discussion, taking us down memory lane, are these 4 panelists that are with us today. So Charlene, we're going to start with you. Firstly, I want you guys to focus on and try and think about what are the highlights of your career in this industry have been. It could be just your general career or specific to the exhibitions that you work on currently. So let's start with you, Charlene.
That's a tough one. I mean, electromining has been around for 48 years, so it's seen a lot of highlights over that time. But if I'm forced to only pick 3, I think the 3 that will stand out most is back in 1996, we had late President Nelson Mandela open the show. I mean, that really was a privilege and a moment I don't think any of us will ever forget. In 2008, we had our highest visitor number ever, 41,000. I don't think we could even believe it. So that was really one for the record books. And then I think lastly, the one that stands out was in 2014, Electromining had the biggest show that it's ever had, almost 40,000 square meters. So I think that those 3 are really the ones that stand out for me in Electromining's 48 years.
Those are definite records. Wow, that's amazing. Those are certainly items that you can be highlights that you'll be really, really proud of, and reaching those peaks. Well
Absolutely.
done to you guys.
Well, thanks.
Lynn, I'm going to swap over down to you now. What are some of the highlights for you? And I know you could probably go on for a while. So.
No, I could talk forever. There are so many, I think, but really all the amazing people I've met over the years, both to work with, companies and visitors. But if I focus maybe on the biggest show that I'm running now, Africa's Big 7, I mean, the highlight for me is that show has been running 18 years, which is fantastic. We have over 67 countries that come to the expo. So it's like a global melting pot. So for me, that's exciting. When there's 1,000 different participants, you're dealing with all the different foreigners. And it's co-located with 2 other shows, which is the Hotel and Hospitality show. And I love that industry. I've been in the hospitality industry. That's my favorite, food and hospitality. And that's co-located, as well as Cytex. I mean, that's a stalwart. That's been around for 27 years. So yeah, there's just so many highlights, but I'd say that those are definitely the highlights. I mean, Africa's Big Seven has just really grown into the event to attend for the food and beverage industry now.
Wow. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stories there. Wow, that's amazing. It really is. I think when, when we're all working so busy, and then when you get onto site and that reality of the interaction that you're having and the how expansive it is, crossing countries, crossing borders, and engaging with those people on that level, I think it gives you thrills, and it really is. I think it gives us, it's the adrenaline rush that we all look for, right? Warren, what about you?
So I think for me, I think one of my first exhibitions was when Mama Magic put together a Guinness World Record, and I think that was quite phenomenal to put together the most number of pregnant women under one roof. I think back then I was super scared of what this idea of pregnancy would look like. I think as a young single man, this scared me completely. But it was an amazing opportunity to be a part of something so great, and to see these women come together and just be so connected. That was amazing. I think for me, I love seeing what we get to do at every exhibition. I think there's a highlight that comes for me out of every exhibition that we put together, because we get to physically see the lives of the consumers that we get to impact. And part of that is our pregnancy competition that we do. And every expo, we give away a pregnancy prize to a lucky winner. And those are always emotional moments when you're standing there watching them, and there's kind of always a tear that fills people's eyes as you watch these women kind of just jump with joy, and these bouncing bellies all over the place. And I think my third one would probably be when we launched our second Johannesburg exhibition, and we added that to our calendar, which was amazing to add 4 shows to the calendar for the year, and to have 2 in Johannesburg in one annual cycle. I think was a big highlight for me.
Wonderful, thank you. And you didn't mention Barney, I see, as your highlight, but that's okay. Megan, what about you?
And I think it's definitely that we won Exhibition of the Year at the AXO Raw Awards this year for WTM Africa. And outside of that, the portfolio won 5 other awards. So it's a great moment to see what your team can do, and as you all pull together. And then outside of that, it's definitely the growth. I mean, we're still a baby. We've had 7 years of our event, and the amount of business that you see written each year is just phenomenal. So in 2019 alone, we had $410 million written at our show. Wow. And that's just fantastic if you're looking at what it does to our economy. I've been working in the tourism industry for 14 years, so it's great to see what that industry can achieve. And then a proud moment, obviously forming part of a global portfolio, was for ILTM Africa. We achieved 100% buyer satisfaction. And the only other event in our global portfolio to have achieved that is the flagship ILTM Cannes. So that's an exceptionally proud moment for myself and the team.
Wow, those are definite achievements, and achievements that to be absolutely proud of. Yes, I'm glad that winning the AXO Exhibition of the Year was so meaningful. I think it really was, and it elevates your brand, and congratulations to you and your team. That it's definitely an achievement that will always be remembered as well. And hopefully we get everybody else to strive towards those goals as well. Now guys, the next question that I want to ask you is, if you're looking at, I mean, we all have these highs and lows, and we are that we go through, and the highlights are definitely there. But what would you say is your biggest challenge in your role for your exhibition? What is the biggest challenge that you are faced with for your expo, Charlene?
Okay, I can think of 2. I think due to the nature and the type of machinery that we have on display at Electromining, one of my biggest challenges is obviously getting that machinery into the precinct and ultimately into the halls for display purposes. So that's never easy. Fortunately, we have an exceptional operations team led by Emmanuel Patty, and they actually make that task seem doable. To take a trip down memory lane and give you guys a bit of an example, a couple of years ago, this is long before all of those EMS rules, and I'm sure there are no EMS people on this call in any case, we had a massive loader that had to come into Hall 6 And despite all of our meticulous planning and measuring, that loader was just not going to go through the loading bay door. So in the end, the loader stood on the outside, the bucket on the inside, and we turned the bucket into a bar. Turns out it was one of the greatest stands we had that year. So yes, definitely challenging getting those machines in. And secondly, I think it's being a female in a very male-dominated world. I mean, all of the sectors I deal with are not known for being female. Mining, machine tools. It really took me a good couple of years of hard work, proving myself to even be accepted. And I'm happy to say that I think I am now. And as a result, most of my team are now predominantly female. I'm sorry, Mark, you know, most of them are female. And I think having a predominantly female team in this environment has brought something different to our events. And that's really worked for us as a company.
Well, girl power, right? What can we say?
Absolutely.
Lynn, what about you?
I think the biggest challenge in my role as an exhibition director is twofold, internally and externally. So internally, I think if you can have a cohesive, motivated, happy team, teamwork just makes the dream work. And if you have that, it's fantastic. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So for me, that's very important, running a happy, motivated team. Externally, the biggest challenge for me is making sure those exhibitors are happy. They get a professional service from us, and at the end of the day, that we deliver quality visitors to our exhibitors, and then everybody's happy. It's just so rewarding when they come and they thank you. And if we deliver quality visitors, then I think we've done our job, and I can sleep well at night, and I feel a lot of job satisfaction.
Yeah, that is true, right? That's what drives us. Knowing that you can deliver and they're happy and they're satisfied. Megan, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I think my biggest challenge is also one of our greatest strengths, and it's being a part of this global portfolio and this brand. So I report into 3 different directors in South Africa and then 2 in the United Kingdom. And it's a balancing act of just making sure that we are always at the top of our game and that we're adhering to those global standards and making sure that the brand is aligned to the rest of the portfolio around the world. And in saying that, it's also one of our biggest it's our biggest opportunity and strength, because we've got this global pool of buyers we can tap into. And then I think the other challenge that we have is just making sure that we get the correct buyers in, and we get these exhibitors having those full diaries and those quality meetings. And sometimes we have buyers that miss flights and they can't travel due to weather and sandstorms in Dubai and that sort of thing. So it's just managing those various logistics, but we've got a phenomenal team on the ground, and that's our strength.
Wonderful. Thank you. Warren, what did you say your challenges are? I mean, and your show, I think, being different to the ladies that we have on the team now, having the consumer show, slightly different challenges?
Yeah, I definitely think there's slightly different challenge. I think the one I think we would all agree on is that it's about we get the overall perspective of the exhibition, and we've got to make sure that all those tick boxes are ticked, and that every bit of operations, marketing, sales, everything comes together and works seamlessly together. I think that's the one thing. You've got to make sure that you don't miss anything in your checklist. But I think on the consumer side, in our exhibition in particular, just making sure that the exhibition that you're putting forward is relevant to the market that are coming through, and that you've thought about them in every detail, you know, in the venues that we select, in how we lay out our floor plan, in where the toilets are spaced out, where our nappy change rooms, all these kind of facilities, just making sure that they are thought of in every area, so that when they come to the exhibition, it's a seamless, easy experience. And I think I've gotten a lot better at it because I'm a parent myself now. But I think it's a working model that you've always just got to put your mind in the frame of the visitor to make sure that their experience is going to be the best possible one when they come through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that the big picture that comes into play again. And but you know, when we talk about challenges, I think what's important is that it's challenges that drive us. I think if it all stayed the same and if it was all just the same year on year, it would be quite dull. But I think we all constantly look to the challenges and look to lifting it up to the next level. And that's a challenge in itself. And it's a challenge that we want to achieve and want to be able to get there. It's like, you know, climbing a mountain, but it's never the same. There's always that gradient that you're always going up, and it's exhilarating at the same time. Now, despite all of these, I know there's some moments that are, let's say, embarrassing moments maybe that you may have had on site, when, whether it's with exhibitors or visitors or things that have happened. Yesterday we had some really, really interesting stories. Well, Charlene, that, the bar idea there, I think that was fascinating. Not so embarrassing. I think that was quite creative. Let's put it that way. Now I'm going to start with you, Lynn. If you were to think of some embarrassing moments that have happened on site, what would they be for you?
I think I want to share my favorite story. Was many years ago. We had an exhibitor party. It's one of the largest ones I've ever had. It was 1,000 people there. And we had unlimited budgets in those days. And everybody was getting very merry, very merry. And we had a huge party. It was a massive success. So next day in the organizer's office, we were all sitting around and we were gossiping about our clients. And we were saying, did you see what that one did? And did you see how much that one drank? And she did this and we were laughing our heads off. And then our phone went, and it was one of the exhibitors. They phoned us. They told us we'd left the microphone on in all the halls. Everyone could hear everything we were saying. We wanted to die. The people didn't want to break down. They were so entertained. The one lady said, I just sat on the floor and listened to you girls. It was so interesting. So that definitely is my most famous humorous moment. Never to be forgotten.
Oh, my word. That is definitely one for the books. Oh, wow. Megan, what about you? What laughs do you have to share? Or are they too embarrassing?
No, I'll put it out there. So we run FIBO Global Fitness Africa, which is a health and wellness expo. And the one year we had partnered up with somebody who was running a bodybuilding competition. And every night I'd do a walkthrough and just make sure that we're ready to close down. And there was this big stage and I got really excited and I thought, this is finally my moment. So I went up and I was posing and flexing my muscles with one of my colleagues cheering me on. And the partner that was organizing the bodybuilding competition, little to my knowledge, was standing alongside watching me as I flexed my muscles.
Well, you see the things we do to South. I mean, yesterday we heard about zebras. Now we're hearing about flexing muscles. Warren, what about you?
Mine also has to do with getting on the stage. I don't know what it is about stage, although mine wasn't in a quiet exhibition hall. Many years ago when we first started out, for some reason, we came to the decision that I would be a suitable host to go on stage and introduce our purple friend Barney. And I would have to get onto stage. It was in the Durban arena, the ICC, which is probably our most attended show. That audience is absolutely besotted by this purple dinosaur. So there were literally hundreds of kids and parents in that auditorium. And I had to get onto the stage and do a little bit of sing and a dance and get them all active and, just kind of entertain the kids for a few minutes, get Barney all out onto the stage. When that was done, I'd run back out to the exhibition floor, check on all the other things that I needed to do. And we were probably doing about 4 shows a day. Then I'd run back down to the other side of the ICC, get back into that stage and do a little sing and a dance, all while wearing a beautifully print-striped apron that Project selected out. Not my proudest moment, but I learned a lot.
Well, you see, the things we get to do, it's those people that don't say no that stick around the longest, right? Charlene, what do you have to share?
Gosh, there's been a lot, and I don't think that I could ever top Sven's story from yesterday. I mean, the tequila and the staircases is legend in our company. But I'll tell you, last year's edition of Electromining, one of our visitors who got a little too merry, Lynn, stole one of our organizers' golf carts towards the end of the day. And he drove it around the exhibition and he drove it straight into Zest's stand. They're one of our anchor tenants. So you can imagine the rest of the team chasing after this little golf cart all the way down Expo Center. Fortunately, it was close to closing time. We managed to catch him and the damage to the stand wasn't that bad. But clearly, we'll never ever leave a key in a golf cart ever again.
That is looking for trouble. Anybody wanting a joyride, for sure. Here you go. Oh, wow. Well, you know what? We all have those embarrassing moments. It does happen. but it keeps us going. Like we said, it's wonderful to be able to reflect on those things. We learn from it, we grow from it, you know, so much. Now, talking a bit about being on site, I want to ask now our audience that is joining us. We got some new polls for you today. We had a little bit of an oopsie yesterday, so we thought we'd challenge you just a little bit more. So talking about being on site, we were talking a little bit earlier, and we decided we want to know, so Sean's going to put the poll up for you now. Sean's doing our technical today. He's from D&G. Thank you very much to you guys. So Sean's going to put the poll up right now. And the question is, what is the most useful tool that you cannot do without on site? Now, I know you're going to choose from a selection, right? And I know that maybe we haven't given you an opportunity and yours isn't on the selection. So the first one is a power bank. The second one is your cell phone. And the third one is a box cutter. Now, all you have to do is select one. You can only select one. I know some of you cannot do without any of these, but choose one. And our panelists, you can choose as well. So choose one of those. And if you're not going to select it, I would say once you select, you press submit. If it's not on the list, then you're welcome to fill it in our chat box. I'd love to know what else that all of you cannot do without. Have you all put that in? Sean, is it all in? Let's see what the results are. That'll be interesting, guys, because I know you all have your favorites already. Aha, of course, the cell phone is the answer there. So I know not all of you agree with this. I think, Charlene, you went with a power bank, right? Oh, right, thank you.
I went for the cell phone, but I believe it's Megan that can't live without her power bank.
Megan.
Yeah, but I guess it goes hand in hand because I need the power bank for the cell phone, so.
Exactly.
That is so true. That is so true. Well, thank you for that. We've got a few more that are tricks up our sleeves that we want you to know that we're going to ask you as we go along. So stay with us. Like we said, if we haven't, and if you think if there's any other essentials that you have. Oh, Zambuk. Oh, that's an interesting one, guys. So that will go to my next question. But before we go to our next question, keep sharing with us. Tell us what you can't do without. We'd love to know. Yeah, you never know what will be in your Christmas stocking this year, hey? So the next question I have for my panel, we talked about the most embarrassing suppliers. And given that it's Global Exhibitions Day, and I asked this question yesterday, but I do want to go over it again today. I want to talk about the suppliers to the industry, right? We know that our shows cannot exist without them, right? It is, there's some people that we've been working with for years, and they just make things so much easier. They make our jobs so much easier. So if you were to think about 3 of the suppliers that you cannot do without for your exhibition, who would that be, right? Megan, I'm going to start with you.
Well, definitely an expo, guys. WTM Africa is largely shell schemes, so we can't do without them. They also provide us with graphics, our feature areas, and they work all hours to pull rabbits out of hats for us where needed. And then outside of that, it would be Urban Tonic. I mean, their furniture that they supply is just incredible in terms of quality and the variety that they have too. They're always on standby for those exhibitors who forgot to order furniture, which is interesting. And then finally, it would be La Renelle. I mean, they track whatever we need. They're up and down with porters, and they just make our job a lot more efficient.
Wonderful. Charlene?
Yeah, as Sven mentioned yesterday, specialized exhibitions really value all of our suppliers and the relationships that we have with them. So it's really difficult to choose just a few, but we said that we'll all highlight different ones. So today I'd like to highlight Lodge. I mean, to show the size of electromining, safety and security is absolutely crucial. And I find that they're always there and you can always rely on them and the team. And then secondly, like Megan said, expo guys, whether it's power or infrastructure that you need, we all need help at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I find that they're always there, willing to lend a helping hand. And then on the marketing side, PR partnership, Caroline, I think she actually understands our shows better than what I do. And she's always available, whether I need a quick impromptu script for a radio interview or I need some emergency PR because we're having a protest on site. Trust me, she'll help me out.
Wonderful. Oh, those are the people that are just godsend, really. You're right. There are just so many in the industry, and I know that I'm putting you all on the spot. But I think on this day, and given that it's Global Exhibitions Day, it's important that we talk about these a crucial part of our ecosystem. Warren, what about you? What are your favorites, or not your favorites, your essential suppliers? No, I'm not going to say favorites.
I think the word essential is better there. But I think, suppliers are so crucial to us putting together an exhibition that delivers. I think for us, again, because Shell Schemes are a huge part of our offering and our stand build, Expo Solutions was really great, having the team on site, doing whatever they need to, building whatever they need to, and taking my last minute changes as and when I give it to them, and doing it with a smile is a big deal. That's really, really helpful. I think a large really play a crucial part for us from a security supplier, just making sure that we have a set standard in terms of security. Everybody feels safe, parents with kids, very delicate market, and that's important. So large is crucial to that. And I think just overall, I think we just got to find the suppliers that deliver for us. And I think I would say that they're not externally, but I rely personally on my internal team a lot. And they go the extra length to make sure that we get the job done. So whether we've got to lay down puzzle mats or clean out nappy bins, whatever it takes, they will get on their hands and knees if they need to. And you can get them to do it if you just maybe a little bit of bribery, some chocolate or something on the line helps just a little bit. But that would be my recommendation of essential services.
Yeah, thank you. And Lynn, what about you?
Well, I think you're right. I need to say 3 is unfair. I think we have some amazing suppliers in the industry, and that's something I've really enjoyed in my career, is actually having a relationship with them, along with the operations managers as well, and building that relationship. They just go that extra mile for you. I mean, some of them are even personal friends still to this day. So I think they're all doing an amazing job. But if I have to pick 3, then I'm going to try and be different to the other guys. First of all, I'd pick Green Exhibitions. I think Derek, and he does an amazing job of registration. We used to have queues down the stairs and switching escalators off at Santa until Derek came along. He's very user friendly. I'd also have to say ZF Cleaning. I think Ziad and the team do an amazing job. They will just go out their way for you and clean anything. They will just go the extra mile with a smile on their face. Love them. And I'd have to say GL Events as well. I mean, I've worked with them since it was Shell Systems, then Oasis, now it's GL. And also just a big professional team that gets the job done in the time allocated to build up a show. So, but really, I think a shout out to all our suppliers in South Africa.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. And I think we all echo that sentiment. A big shout out to all our suppliers and service providers to our industry. Keep us going, keep us on our toes, always there for us 24/7, and make our events the success that it is. So thank you very much to all of you. Guys, the next question that I'd like to ask you is, we spoke about lots of embarrassing moments and things like that and highlights, and it may be a highlight as well, but I'd rather want to focus something more detail. I know Charlene mentioned earlier, we talked about prestige. I want to talk about prestigious people that you've had the honor of having attended your events. And I know you said Nelson Mandela opened electromining in 94, right?
96.
96. Right. So besides him, would there be anybody else that you'd say that you had the honor of hosting?
Yes, absolutely. We've the president of Zambia opens our show in the Copperbelt Kamenex every year, which is a great honor for us to host him, and he has a massive function, and a lot of the locals attend that function. In Botswana, we've had the pleasure of hosting the vice president. And then at Electromining, various ministers from all over Africa have attended over the years. So a lot of dignitaries that we've been able to welcome to our events.
And I think that really helps, because we all know having these prestigious people spreads the word about your event, spreads the words about our industry and the way we connect people and bring people together, right? Lynn, I'm sure you have a host of people that you've met over the years.
I think the most recent one was actually last year at Africa's Big 7. We had the Deputy Minister of Tourism, Amos Fish Mahalela, open the show. And he did a great official opening for us. And then we had a VIP tour. But the funniest part was everybody who knew me was like tugging on my jacket saying, please bring him to my stand. I want a photo. Everybody wanted a photo with him. And interesting, in his speech last year, he said that 20 million people in the continent are directly or indirectly associated with tourism. So after this unfortunate situation we're in, I'm interested to hear what the figures are next year. So, but that was an excellent official opening by the Deputy Minister last year.
Wow. Now, Warren, yours is completely different because being a consumer show, you probably have a few celebrities on your list. Yeah. Celebrity moms and dads, right?
The good thing is that every celebrity is still a parent, so we all get onto the same page in that regard. But I think it's fun watching different celebrities come to the exhibition and shop around. We've had people like Anela Mdota come and reveal her pregnancy for the first time to the world when she visited the exhibition. We've had everybody from AK and Zintle do their roundabouts with their influencer child, Cairo. I mean, everybody dating back to Leanne Manis and even the former rugby players and all that kind of stuff, US Van Vestes, and they've all been through and enjoyed some Barney moments with us, taken some pictures, bought their nappies. And I think the good thing is that you see what these real life celebrities are really just parents shopping for nappies and a good special and maybe organizing a free beer or two on the side.
Of course, because they'd like to be brand ambassadors, remember. So yeah, no, that's true. That it has been an honor having, and that parenting journey always comes to celebrities. Megan, what about you?
I think for us being a Pan-Africa show, we're very blessed that we see ministers from around the continent come and attend the show, and especially because they have these crazy diaries and they actually go to the effort of making this trip all the way down to South Africa. So it's not specific to just South Africa, and although we had the ex-Minister of Tourism, Derek Hanekom, join us, we're looking at guys from Botswana that come through, Zambia, Ghana, and it's just phenomenal to see that they see the value in actually taking time out of their schedule to attend.
Yeah, that is such an honor and privilege, especially when you, like you're saying, especially when they're coming from far and wide. It really is. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video clip when our president went to Expo Center when they were opening up with GL, you know, the showing how they're putting the quarantine rooms together. And it was so funny watching everybody on site trying to get selfies and trying to get the president in the background. But it is such an honor, you know, no matter who you are, to be in that person's presence. And I think it adds such value to your exhibitors and to your attendees and to the show as a whole. So yeah, we're all very privileged to have these experiences to look back on. Now, going back to something a little bit funnier than well, this is not funny. That was great. But going back to some of the funny stuff, I want to know from you, what was the weirdest or the strangest request that you have received from an exhibitor? Charlene, let's start with you.
What size jacket do you wear? What size shoes do you wear? When they have to go for a quick, unexpected interview or meet a dignitary, they seem to know where to come. But on the other hand, if you ever have to ask our exhibitors about the strangest request they've received from an organizer, I remember begging a tie off one of our exhibitors in Botswana for Gary Corrin, our managing director, because the vice president did show up unannounced and he didn't have a tie. Fortunately for us, our exhibitors were very kind and he gave me his tie.
Warren, what about you? What was one of the weirdest requests you got?
I would say my strangest request probably has come from visitors in this regard. When we've been bribed or kind of strong-armed into getting pictures with our purple dinosaur, any other stage character. I've been offered Nando's for a year. I could change my car wheels and mag wheels. They get stranger and stranger, but everybody still wants to meet this purple dinosaur, and they're prepared to pay an exorbitant price to get it. My Nando still hasn't been delivered, so I'll have to make some phone calls. But yeah, they get stranger and stranger every single year.
Megan?
And so mine was bizarre. We had somebody who wanted to bring an orangutan on site, and the answer was naturally no. It goes against our ethos in responsible tourism. We even host a responsible tourism conference, to which he responded, no, but I'll be responsible. I just need to order a plant for him to urinate on, and we're all good. So it was a hard no still, and no orangutan came on site.
Oh my word. And he was serious.
Yeah, dead serious. I thought it was a joke at first, but he persisted. So
So it was no April Fool's joke, that was for sure.
no, we even got a photo of the orangutan. So yeah, definitely
Wow.
not.
Yeah, you never know what's next, right? Lynn, what about you?
Okay, well, the strangest request I've got from exhibitors has happened to me more than once, and it's always the foreigners. And the question is, are you married? Would you like to go for dinner? So let me think about that. No, thanks. And it's happened more than once. It's just not appropriate.
Oh, yes. There we go. See, they see a pretty face and they're foreigners in the country and they need somebody to show them around, right? Well, Warren shared some of the visitor requests he got. Have you guys, with your attendees, what about with them? Any strange requests from them? Megan?
Yeah, I had a visitor come through to me, and she said she was very busy and she didn't have the time, so could I just run her meetings for her? So no, I couldn't run her meetings for her.
Of course, because you have nothing else to do. Charlene, what about you?
We had a visitor once come into the organizer's office in tears because after spending the day at Electromining, he couldn't find his car. So fortunately, the marketing ladies, Karesha and Natasha, were kind enough to take him, drive him around the perimeter of the JEC a few times until he found his car. He was very thankful, but if you ask me, I think he did it just for the company of the two ladies.
Yeah, he was going to offer drinks and dinner shortly after he found his car.
Exactly.
That was a good startup. Hey, Lynn, what about you?
I think visitors are not too bad, but I'm sure we've all been there. Have you ever run a small show and really, really worked hard of it and you're so proud, and then they come to you and they go, where's the rest of it? Where's the show? And, you know, and it's just so you just want to die on the spot and you're so proud of what you've done. And then the other one I get a lot, I'm sure you guys get it too, especially in winter, is the temperature. No one's ever satisfied with the temperature in the hall. And the visitors come, it's too cold, it's too hot. You can never please everybody. But that one, especially because my shows run in June, so it's chilly. And that's one I get a lot.
Yeah, you've got to put a prerequisite when they do their registration. Please bring a jacket.
Yeah.
So, and a fan. Yeah. Or you could get somebody to sponsor mobile fans, right? There you go. There's an opportunity, right? Okay, so let's do our next poll now, guys. I think, we have just over 70 people on our watching and listening to us now and participating. I like this one. A visitor asked, where's my stand? Right, I think you must have been at the wrong exhibition. So the next poll that we're going to ask everybody is, now, when you're on site, which of these items, Sean, I hope you're ready for me, which of these items do you always have on hand just in case? So it's not a tool, but it's those things like we spoke about earlier, a hand sanitizer as one of the choices, energy tablets, plasters. Put your selection and then just press submit. So which one of these things you always have on hand? Hand sanitizer is probably the one that we're not going to just have on hand in future. And then you're going to press submit. And then we're going to see what the results are there. And if you have any other just in case items that you keep in your bag, in your laptop bag, in your handbag, in your pocket that you walk around with, looking for those just in case moments that happen, let us know if we haven't included on. Oh, somebody else has mints for sure. Okay, breath mints, pens, chocolate, energy bars. Ha, wow, painkillers. Ah, yes, we were talking about that. Lip ice, tissues, just in case. Yes, you see, Myprodol. We were just saying earlier, actually, some of us have a whole list of painkillers that we offer, and just depending on what kind of condition you have. So, Sean, a lighter. These are endless, guys. Are you reading this? This is quite interesting.
A knife, wow.
Different cell phone chargers, not just one cell phone chargers. These are really, really organized people. But the biggest item, that's most popular item, is energy tablets at 46%, followed by plasters at 35% and hand sanitizer at 19%. I do think those numbers are going to change next year, guys. Oh, I love this. Somebody says 3 pairs of shoes.
That's me.
That's you, Lynn. 3 pairs of shoes. Right. I like that. I never thought about that option.
It works.
It works. Now, painkillers is a common thing. So it's between painkillers and energy tabs. If we put painkillers there, I wonder what the response would have been then. Interesting. Right. So ladies and gent, now on to my next question to you is, can you list one of those moments when you had to pull a rabbit out the hat? And it may have worked or it may not have worked. You know, there's always those moments on site when something happens and you need to do something. I mean, we always try to think of everything, right? We try to think of all the possibilities so that we can be as proactive as possible. But there's still things that come up that you have to fix. And sometimes it's not the right solution, but we do make attempts. Megan, you smiling here, and I think she knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Mine was actually pre-event before going live, and we arrived at the venue only to learn that the correct health and safety permits had actually not been approved. So we couldn't build. But what we did was, I'm very grateful to our host city of Cape Town partner. We worked together with them and thankfully managed to still continue building as planned at the correct time. But yeah, definitely not my finest moment with the words and choice of language that was used.
Ouch. Ouch. I have to say ouch for that one. Charlene?
One of the many that came to mind happened at our event, Kamenex, that we host in the heart of the Copperbelt in Zambia. The venue capabilities and supplier capabilities there are quite limited. So what we do is we transport everything by road. Included in that is our signage, our computers, all of our equipment, as well as our exhibitor cargo. So we had the whole team up there ready and waiting for the truck. Truck was set to arrive about 4 days before the show went live. Turns out we all got a paid for holiday in the Copperbelt. Truck only arrived at 10 p.m. the night before the show went live. And of course, we had an extremely limited team on site, so we had to pull an all-nighter. Although I think a lot of us learned new skills. My marketing manager, Lee, can tell you about signage by cell phone torch. I had a hammer in the parking lot. I can also put up signage. Although I must say most of the heavy and manual labor was done by Gary, our MD, Emmanuel, our ops director, and Grant Bidewell, who thought that he was there for sales. Fortunately, the logistical company also pitched in. Did we manage to get it all done? No, it was humanly impossible. But we opened the show on time the next morning, and we got enough done so that nobody was aware of the drama that happened the previous night.
Wow. Yeah. I think that fear, when you have all of this planned and you know what was supposed to be there, but again, that reverse of that, like you're saying, is that the people that are coming, not everybody knows about all the detail that was going to be in the background. And then
Exactly.
you try to build it up again. Wow. That must have been exhausting.
It was, and nerve-wracking. At one stage, we didn't think we were going to make it, but thanks to the team, we did.
Oh, teamwork, dream work, like they always say.
Like Lynn said.
Warren, what about you?
Sure, I can attribute to what Megan and Charlene have said. There's so many similar scenarios with regards to safety and logistics and stuff like that. But I think for me, the one is when we had some manpower issues about building a show in Durban, and the supply just wasn't delivering what it needed to do at the time, and we had to kind of quickly pick up the phone some friends, see how quickly we could turn it around. Because we all know that when you open those doors, you've got to be good and ready, and nobody's got to know the wiser. So we had to phone some friends, make some new friends, and beg, plead, borrow, steal to get the show up and running. But it all worked out, and nobody knew the difference. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, people were like, "Well, great show, great show." We're like, "What? We made it. We got to the end of it." And I think that was the rabbit out there that it worked.
Yeah. And again, like Charlene, I think it's just about that team and the resources that you have and being able to bring people together and forgetting who does what in the company, and everybody just starts doing everything just to get it on the road. And that's our goal, just to be able to open doors successfully. Lynn, what about you?
Well, yes, talking about open doors successfully, one of my favorite moments ever, I think it was 1993 when I did the first show ever to be held at Gallagher. We were waiting for the concrete to dry so that we could put the carpet on top. So it was literally 3 days before the show. We didn't even know if we were going to have a show or if the show would go on. And we literally were standing in the car park with hard hats on, watching the concrete dry. Anyway, it all came together and we had a show. That was one of my favorite moments. And then I asked my colleagues about Africa's Big Seven, and they said in 2017 they had a 90 square meter stand that didn't pitch up. So they had this huge hole in the middle of the hall. So they quickly threw up a gin and beer bar. And apparently it was one of the busiest exhibits on the whole floor. Very popular with everybody. So that was definitely a rabbit out of a hat.
That definitely was a rabbit out of the hat. You see, I like how, Charlene, you had the similar story, you know, when that's where I go to point. You made that that big vehicle become
absolutely, they work fail-proof.
It's about understanding the needs of your audience, guys. That's the message.
I don't think it will work so well for Warren though, but for the rest of us, definitely.
I was thinking the same thing. I might still be challenged.
Yes, we'd get some serious flack if we did that. Maybe after party, yes, but not during the expo. So I have one more question and one more poll for all of you. So the next question that I have for you is, what is the most rewarding part of your jobs in this industry? You know, if you were to think about it, we talked about so many things, but what is the most rewarding part of it all for you? Megan, shall we start with you?
Mine is definitely seeing 12 months of hard work by the team come together, and I think seeing the team's pride as they pull it off, because it takes a tribe in our industry to make this happen, and our little village is just incredible. And for me, it's really seeing the team, their pride that they take away from that event, and watching it all culminate into a live show.
Absolutely. That is true. It really is rewarding when you see it all come together, especially when you're all working so closely together and everybody taking pride in what they do. It makes your job a lot easier as well. Lynn?
Yes, I agree. I think working with an amazing cohesive team, which I have, that is just so rewarding when you feel like you're contributing and doing something and you're getting positive feedback from them. I just love that. And then I think from the exhibitor point of view, dealing with so many international exhibitors, you know, they ask me so many questions before, like from what restaurants to eat or hotels, or is it safe to walk on the roads? And you build up a really great relationship. And then when they come and they have a fabulous experience, and when they come at the end and they shake your hand and they say, thank you, that was amazing, I've done some really good business. That for me just makes everything worthwhile. So yes, definitely, that is just so rewarding.
Wonderful. No, that definitely is, knowing that you've delivered and it's appealed to them and it's worked. Warren, what about you?
I think mine comes from seeing the exhibition come to life and looking at the responses we get from our visitors. I think it makes it all worth it, you know, after long nights and many sleepless weeks and, you know, sore feet and all the rest of it. When you watch them come into the exhibition doors, and some of them absolutely overwhelmed with the offering and what pregnancy and being a parent is going to mean to them. And sometimes they walk through the door and cry. And some people have found out, you know, that they're having twins and stuff at the show. It's those emotional moments that really make it worth it. You know, we sometimes walk into the Barney Auditorium, and just before he comes out onto the stage and all these kids have their eyes closed, and he jumps out onto the stage and they scream as if Justin Bieber or Nicki Minaj, whoever you like, has just jumped out in front of them. It's exhilarating. It's sometimes the Red Bull that we all need, and it keeps us going. And I think we find a great reward in that.
Absolutely. Charlene?
I think for me, it's twofold. Firstly, it's connecting buyers and sellers, connecting stakeholders. It's just connecting people. I mean, actually watching business happen on that show floor. To me, that's amazing. And it's something that only happens at exhibitions. And I think it's something that we should keep in mind on Global Exhibitions Day, is that's what makes exhibitions so special. And I think secondly, it's building a team. It's watching them grow. It's watching them learn, watching them grow in confidence. And then they become so good that they surprise you half of the time. You know, playing a little part in that really is rewarding. And we've got a great team at Specialized Exhibitions, and I'm really proud to be part of it.
Wonderful. That is true. All of those things, you know, you realize it's such a difficult question because there's so many rewarding elements of our jobs. And I think you've all touched on different ones, but I think they all appeal to all of us. And I think we probably could write an essay on all of the things that highlights for us. But before we continue with our closing, and I want to ask our audience now, you've all been on site, we've talked about being on site, we've talked about building up and breaking down, and you're totally exhausted. We know that, but you still run on that adrenaline or the Red Bull that we've heard, or the non-alcoholic tequila, all of those things. But when you get home at the end of the day, this is the next poll. So what is the thing that you look forward to most? When you're going back to your hotel room, if you're not at home in your home city, what is the thing you look forward to most? Getting some sleep, a long hot bath, or drinking some wine or any alcoholic beverage, whatever is your pleasure. Lynn and I, we chose the wine there. But if it's not wine, maybe it could be something else. Which one would be the one thing that you absolutely look forward to when you get home or when you get back to your hotel room? As much as you know that sleep is really, really, you need to get there. And if we haven't chosen one of the things that you do, please feel free to fill in the chat. Let me see what some of these people are sending us that we haven't chosen. Okay, more beer, of course. Hot bath and wine. Cannot be just wine. And yeah, okay, that was a tough one for sure. You see, because people like more than one of these. I think all three of them would be ideal. So, Sean, let's see the results of that one. There was some interesting chats there. Right, it's quite close. So taking a long hot bath came in at 42%. Drinking wine at 38%. So you have wine in the bath, maybe we can do both, and getting some sleep lastly. Feet up on the couch, says Julie as well. So lastly, getting some sleep was obviously the least important for us at 21%. But we still, I think when you get off site, you just still on that adrenaline high. Like, you know, you've accomplished so much, check boxes have been ticked. It's just all these things that we're doing. And it's hard to just relax, and we need all of these things. Now, guys, in closing, you all know it's Global Exhibitions Day, and you all know we're in the middle of a crisis and our industry has come to a grinding halt. What would you say, what are your thoughts on where we are at and where we need to be and how we get there? Charlene, I'd like to start with you.
Tough times never last. I think that's our motto, staying positive. I think we are all, you know, in a tight spot at the moment, but I believe that it won't last. And while the rest of this year will most certainly be tough and we've got a lot of work and a lot of planning to do, I believe that next year will be better. Exhibitions are a great tool. They will be key to reopening economies. And I think that we just have to be positive, work at it, keep the planning going, and everything will turn for the better next year.
Absolutely. Be optimistic. Warren, what would your thoughts be?
I think I agree with Charlene. I think, you know, exhibitions are key to driving business in South Africa. And I think that for us, it's just important this has given us an opportunity to reset some of our goals, to work on other parts of our portfolio that we don't always get enough time to work on. I think it's allowing us to diversify in a sustainable way to go forward. But I agree. I think, you know, these tough times will pass. I think we'll come out stronger. And I think it's just about being fit, being creative, and ensuring that we still meet the needs of all the people that rely on our exhibitions to come to life.
Thank you. Megan?
Yeah, I think it's actually catapulted us into change and diversification. So it's looking at virtual solutions in the now and how we can support our clients whilst we're in this COVID crisis, and taking those further into a complementary offering when we have the live events. I think the key thing that this COVID crisis has brought to the fore is the desire and need for live events, and it's almost highlighted that. So it's how do we work with now, and then how do we take that digital offering and complement those live events in future?
Absolutely. Yep. We're learning to juggle, right? Lynn?
I believe 100% we'll get back on track. This is just a phase we're going through. I think people still want to visit exhibitions next year. They love that one-on-one contact. I think very important now, and what we're doing is really keeping in touch with our clients and communicating with them and building relationships. You know, I have a lot of conversations. I have a whole network of international agents that I deal with, and I almost feel we're bonding now. You know, it's getting to a personal level, like what we're doing in our day and how we're coping. And but it's really cool. I'm having some amazing conversations. So yeah, I think we just got to be positive, as the other people on the panel said. Without a doubt, I am a positive person, and I'm totally believing what we're doing. And what you put out there is we'll get back. We can't control the virus. No, we can't. But if we continue to be positive and continue to promote our industry, I think we'll have an amazing year next year.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you all. It's been wonderful, wonderful chatting with you all, learning from you all, getting to know you, and getting to know all the people that have been participating in our conversations as well, and all the likes and dislikes, and we're getting to know each other on a personal level. Like Lynn says, it's an opportunity to get to know the industry. So it is Global Exhibitions Day. Again, we want to say happy Global Exhibition Day to everybody. We're part of an industry that is connects business, that drives economies, and we just love our jobs. We love doing what we do. We love the adrenaline rush, and we love putting these events together. And we just organizers, what can we say? We constantly organizing our lives and everybody else's, and that's the nature of who we are. We love working with all our suppliers to the industry, and we know that you are essential to our businesses. So on this Global Exhibitions Day, again, we hope you remember that and acknowledge that and help us in our drive to reopen our industry. We're busy working with our safety protocols, and we know that is a very regulated industry already, that working under more safety protocols won't be too difficult for us. We're looking forward to collaborating with our venues and suppliers, because collaboration is key right now. And during this crisis, that's what this has taught us, to collaborate, and it has brought us together as an industry. So thank you all for participating in our polls, for all the fun and games, for all the highlights. We really, really appreciate it. Do join us tomorrow as well. We have more panelists from different shows that you haven't met before, and we want to get to know them and listen to their highlights and their stories that they have to share. So please do join us. Thank you for being with us today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.